Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Where Do I Start on the Scratch the Track podcast presented by the Dude and Grim Show. I am the Dude.
And I am Grim. And today we're going to talk about, if you're not a huge fan already, which hopefully you are, but if not, where would one start with the band Radiohead? One of our favorite bands. I kind of feel like
all time.
Yeah, for me, I would view them as more or less like equivalent to a Pink Floyd of our era.
Yes.
I got into them in high school. I mean, we all, thanks to MTV, I mean, everyone knew Creep.
Yes.
And then, you also knew Paranoid Android, Karma Police. Those videos really resonate with me. I don't remember seeing the video for No Surprises as much when I was younger, but I mean, I liked them. And there was a gentleman, at our school who was a teacher, Mr. Toby Schuler, who insisted that I listen to OK Computer as an album. Because I guess I just hadn't done that. I was just getting into like some of the older albums. So I was really into Floyd, the Beatles, all this stuff. And I listened to OK Computer as an album, and it was kind of like, whoa. Holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah. The world stopped for a minute.
Yeah.
Well, we've done, again, like you said, they've been one of our favorite bands, and kind of the main purpose for doing an episode like this is we feel like we have a pretty good knowledge of them, all their albums. We've seen them live multiple times. And, there's people out there, and we've had, both you and I, and even more recently, we've had bands that just kind of slip through the cracks a little bit.
Yeah.
And
this could have slipped through the cracks for someone else.
Yeah. And it's just like, I never got into them, or, I heard this, but it didn't really resonate with me. So we just kind of want to go through some of their catalog a little bit and kind of make some suggestions. And
if you don't know them,
what album to start with.
Yeah.
And if you're maybe, even with Radiohead, because their music has changed and evolved, maybe if you're kind of more of a fan of this style of music, maybe there's an album that would be better. Or if you're a fan of another style, maybe there's another album of theirs that would be better. And that's kind of how we have things broken down. But Grim, I think before we get into it, we should remind everyone out there to go ahead and give us a
like, subscribe, and comment below.
Awesome. And if you're here and you are a Radiohead fan, we did a scratch and review of Kid A earlier this year. And then one of our first episodes, I think it was our second or third one ever on the show, was of OK Computer. So they pop up from time to time. We've done Songs of the Same Name, kind of a covers, Songs of the Same Name Face Off with Creep by Radiohead and STP. So go through our video list and hopefully you find something that you enjoy.
Yeah.
So Grim, where, we talked about kind of how we got into him. Now I remember how I got into him, and I won't give the full details of the story. But you and I,
I like it already.
You and I were doing a
tour, if you will, a cruise.
No, it was it was a student film project of one Chris Rifty. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so I remember you had gotten Kid A. I remember we were freshmen in college. You came back, and this was back in the day when it was still like, it was pretty cool when you went to the store and like your mom bought you a CD. And you're like, awesome, that's cool. Yeah. And I remember you coming back with Kid A and being like, hey, man, this album just came out, and I was at the store, and I really liked their first album, or not their first album, but their album, OK Computer. And you're like, this is pretty cool. We should check it out. So I think we might have went for a drive and, cleared our heads and just gave it a listen. And I'm sure we were like, I'm not really sure what to think about this. But,
I like many people, I think at the time when that album came out, I just wasn't ready for it. I really wasn't. And
kind of like people aren't really ready for this show, dude. Kind of like that, right?
I know. Yeah, for real.
Exactly. Just ready.
I think like a lot of people, I expected OK Computer Part 2, so to speak. And this album was not that.
It was not.
They went into space. They
did. And they stayed there and recorded it there, basically.
Yeah, like on the ISS. And It took me, there were a couple songs that I could relate to because, I mean, you think of a song like Optimistic off Kid A.
Sure.
To me, that song is most reminiscent of the sound in OK Computer, if you will. Yeah. And it took me a while to get into the other stuff, but eventually it clicked with me. And I would say that, through today, Kid A is still, I would say, my favorite Radiohead album that exists.
It's yeah.
And I can't find all my CDs, but I had just the regular CD of this, and then I had the expanded, like the deluxe CD that was like almost like a kid's storybook with these like thick kind of cardboard pages.
Yeah, that's the one I have somewhere.
Yeah, I have it. I
showed it on the Kid A episode.
Oh, dude, I have the goddamn library book special edition one for Amnesiac somewhere too, and that is just that to me is one of the most beautiful examples of how to do a really cool special edition. I think that one was really cool.
Yeah, and if there's other special editions, I'm sure there are. If people know about them out there, definitely let us know. I know recently they've kind of come out with the OK Computer, OK Not OK CD and vinyl, which kind of includes some B-sides, and it also includes, I believe, all the tracks off the Airbag single.
So and like Meeting People is Easy. No, not Meeting People is Easy. Yeah, was it the Airbag single? Because there was like 7 songs on...
Yeah, it's Airbag, okay. How fast am I driving or something like that. Yeah, but it includes like Bishop's Robes, I think, A Reminder, Polyethylene's parts 1 and 2.
Yep.
And then Meeting in the Aisle and some
Don't forget about Palo Alto.
And Palo Alto.
One special edition that I have that I feel like is probably worth some money, and that is, and it had to do a lot with how the album was released. And honestly, I don't think this would be a bad album to start with. I mean, to me, OK Computer is the one I would recommend for anyone who's never heard them. But I will say, In Rainbows, friends, it could be a really good one to start with too. So when they released In Rainbows, they did it themselves. And I remember there was a while where you could pre-order this special edition of it that was double vinyl. And it also had the 2 CDs. It had the regular CD here that is the album, and then it had a second CD, which has a bunch of bonus tracks. And some of those, like Radiohead fans would probably know, like Down is the New Up, Go Slowly, Last Flowers to the Hospital, Up on the Ladder's a really good one, Bangers and Mash, 4-Minute Warning. Yeah. But it came with the 2 CDs, and then it came with double vinyls, which are in here, and it's the entire album, and it's on they're 12 inches, but they're 45s.
Right.
And it was cool because I got this just because I love Radiohead, and I felt like it was something I wanted to have, having some of the other like collector's edition CDs and stuff.
Sure.
I feel like now this would be worth something. I'm not going to part with it, but I feel like it would be. And it also came with this really nice booklet. And there's another booklet that's kind of this is just like some abstract art. There's another booklet inside that just has the lyrics. And it was cool because I bought this before I was really like collecting and listening to vinyl. My dad had not yet blessed me with the Thorns turntable that I now have. So it was cool because I'm going to say like the records were completely untouched for like 10 years. And then I pulled them out, like a couple of years ago and played them for the first time. And that's
nice.
Yeah.
Well, so I sort of, when I was looking at their albums, now Pablo Honey came out in 93. That's the album Creep is on. I'm sure people who aren't huge fans or know Radiohead, I can guarantee you know that song. Mm-hmm. If not by name, when you hear it, you'll know it.
Yep.
And most recently in 2016, they came out with a Moon-Shaped Pool. So they have 9 albums total, and we're at 2021. And there's been some gaps. Like Hail to the Thief was 2003 and Rainbows was 2007. It's about 4 years. They've come out with an album about every 4 years in their past 4 albums. Now we're going on what, 5 years now. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if they come out with something soon. I hope that they do. But looking at their 9 albums, I kind of put them, I kind of group them together a little bit. And I guess there's 3 that I do sort of group together, and that's Kid A, Amnesiac, and actually in The King of Limbs, because I think they're sort of kind of the weirder albums to me. I think they're the weirder albums.
Okay, I see that. Yeah, I would agree, because I feel like Hail to the Thief and In Rainbows were a little more kind of a return to like rock. I dig you. Yeah.
See, like with Hail to the Thief, I feel like that was sort of the baby of OK Computer, Kid A, and Amnesiac. I feel like they went really far out with Kid A, Amnesiac, and then they brought sort of the guitar sound and everything back in with Hail to the Thief.
And In Rainbows is pretty approachable. I feel like
it is.
And honestly, though, 15 Step, the first song, is not necessarily my favorite.
Okay.
And I haven't done like, you'll see videos where people do like a full on analysis of these songs and like really break them down, everything by. Now, I haven't done this, but over here you'll see this is a drum machine, and most drum machines operate with these buttons right here, and there are 16 steps. That is the norm, and you can have another page of it, so you have 32 steps, but 16. Okay. There's usually 16 buttons on a drum machine.
Cool.
Because that would basically take like a quarter note and break it into 16th notes, or what, not to get too nerdy, but and that's one thing I've always wondered, and maybe there's fans out here that have either watched something or they know this, but I felt like they took a beat and they like reduced it down to 15 steps. That's what I think of and maybe that's absolutely all wrong, but that was the first thing I thought about, because the beat was a little, I don't want to say jarring, but it was not how I expected the album to start. And really, it's not how the rest of the album sounds.
Yeah, there is that. In Rainbows is one of my favorites of theirs, and I would say that's to me, if I had to choose one for people to start, I would actually choose that one maybe over OK Computer. Unless you're really, like, I would say maybe a child of the 90s and you really liked kind of guitar heavy stuff with grunge rock and that kind of stuff. And if you're sort of like a bigger Pink Floyd fan and you like that kind of stuff, then I'd be like, OK Computer. But I feel like In Rainbows is probably, I think, like you said, the most accessible. And I certainly don't want to call it, I guess, easy listening.
No, it is not.
But for Radiohead and what they've done and the work that they've produced, it's more chill, man. It's definitely more chill, and it doesn't get as spacey and kind of is weird as sort of Kid A and Amnesiac or King of Limbs. So
now, one thing with that album especially,
I
always liked the song "Nude," right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was not how we knew it, because fans of Radiohead. And I think it was on the Meeting People Is Easy video.
Yep.
It shows them like warming up for a concert. And I believe Tom York is playing the Rhodes. And he's playing Nude, but he's singing the line, don't get any big ideas. And so I think a lot of people at the time like thought that was the name of the song. And it was interesting that all those years later, I mean, I think that's 10 years later, 97 to 2007. So 10 years later, they finally came out with this song under a different title and slightly different than you heard it in that warm up. But
it is, dude. I prefer the warm up, man.
I do too. I absolutely do too. It is a
badass version, and you hear at the end they really start to kind of like rock out, and he really starts to hit the keys hard on that, man. And I like that version a lot.
Well, and there's another one. Like Spinning Plates. I think if you get their live album, because when they
might
did
be
it
wrong is what it's called.
Yeah, I might be wrong. When they do it on the album Amnesiac, like everything is reversed. And I think if I remember right, what he did was he learned how to sing the lyrics in reverse. And then they flipped that around so that it kind of sounds normal-ish, but it still sounds weird because you're never going to be able to get the correct pronunciation and diction and all that stuff.
Right.
But there's a version of that where he just plays it on piano. And I remember seeing them on that tour.
You were at that show of the version that is on that CD. That's the show you were at. I was not at that show because
Cuyahoga? That was the one they took that from?
I'm like 93.8% sure that is. Because before that CD came out, I had a bootlegged version of that where he kind of has a longer intro where he kind of talks about it, and he's like, oh, there was that show, like name that tune or something like this and everything, and he kind of makes a joke about it and talks about it and everything, and then he kind of gets into it and starts playing it. Now on the CD, that intro part where him speaking doesn't make the cut. But it's cool because in the background, you can hear a fan very faintly scream out, like spinning blades.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet.
And dude, it is really cool, man. Maybe he said that same thing, but I remember because I think it was like you and Kozak maybe and Matt Courtney went to that show. And I remember all of us talking about it. And I think they can maybe confirm that as well. And I'm sure they're listening to this episode. So guys, feel free to
like, subscribe, and comment below.
Crazy.
Yeah, dude.
I didn't go to that show though. I went to the one at Grant Park in Chicago, but
one thing, and this is a real like fan nerd thing, but one thing that I remembered, I don't remember, and maybe he did do the whole name that tune thing. I don't remember that. I just remember him saying before we played it, if we continue to endure this, our children will be the next to suffer.
Awesome.
And I just thought it was a really interesting line to lead off with, right?
Right.
But
so Graham, I got a quick question for you. In front of you, do you have the list, or maybe you can look on their wiki page just on Radiohead, their discography list where it lists, Pablo Honey, the Bends, and you might know it offhand anyways without having to look it up. Quickly off the top of your head, can you go favorite to least favorite albums? Because I would, and while you think about it, because I want you to go first, and I'll talk to the people out here in beautiful YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple land. If you guys are fans of Radiohead,
I'd love to hear your list. That would be quite interesting.
That is a fun conversation to have. I imagine most people would probably put Pablo Honey last. I know I would.
I would too.
But rank them first. I would just say best to worst, first to worst, best to worst.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Go for it, dude.
Kid A. Okay Computer. Hail to the Thief.
Ooh.
In Rainbows. Amnesiac. King of Limbs, Moonshaped Pool, The Bends, and Pablo Honey.
Woo. Damn. All right. You kind of threw me for a loop because you put, I believe, Hail to the Thief third. Is it, so you put that above In Rainbows?
Yeah, I always, there was just something, and not to say that like I wasn't there, so to speak, when Kid A came out, but I was a huge fan of them by the time Hail to the Thief came out. And I just have very fond memories of when that album came out and just listening to it over and over. And I think that there's a lot of variation on that. I just think it's a really good album.
Sure.
And I love how it starts with 2 + 2 = 5. Yeah, dude. Yeah, there's just something, I've always liked that one.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to go. Let me go. I'm going to reverse a few things. Actually, mine's going to be almost completely different than yours. I'm going, Okay Computer, Kid A, In Rainbows, Amnesiac, man, Hail to the Thief and a Moonshaped Pool are like in a tie. Hail to the Thief, Moonshaped Pool, King of Limbs, the Benz Pablo Honey.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
that's fair. King of Limbs, that's one to that is also another. It's to me, King of Limbs and Kid A are like they're cousins.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said I kind of group sort of those ones together a little bit because they're just weird. But I would say this. So people who've made it this far, for me, I would recommend if you're just trying to get into these guys and you don't want anything too weird and you don't want anything too hard, I would go with In Rainbows. If you like the more rock, guitar-driven stuff, I personally would say OK Computer.
Yep.
And if you're into like weird stuff, you could pretty much take a pick. I would probably recommend Kid A.
Kid A, yeah.
But you could take a pick between Kid A, Amnesiac, and probably the King of Limbs if you like the really weird stuff. So
yeah,
that's kind of what I say. Are you on board with that, Ren?
I think that is a very fair statement, dude.
All right, cool. All right, everyone. Well, hey, we think it would be really cool if you
like, subscribe, and comment
below, and also let us know what album you would recommend. People starting with. Also, if you have any cool Radiohead stories just about how you got into them and, when you discovered them and was this a life-changing experience? Because I got to be honest, when it comes to music, this is probably as close to a life-changing experience as I've had with the band. So I'm there, man. I'm there.
We're
All
there.
Right. So now you know where to start listening.
Yeah.
You have so many options. So
please do it.
All right. Take care, everyone. Time to go.
Dude and
Grim Show.
Scratch a Track is produced by the Dude and Grim. Additional music provided by Moore and the Tims. Copyright 2021. The Dude and Grim Show.